Meat is dead animals, observing objectively. When meat and food are laid out before us, we see the flesh of a dead fish, the flesh of a bird or a pig, and this Falernian wine is nothing but fermented grape juice. The purple cloak is just sheep's wool dyed with the blood of shellfish, or sexual intercourse is merely an energy expenditure and the release of seminal fluid. This way of looking strips away the illusion about everything, and we see them for what they truly are. The Stoics advise us to observe an object or a situation as objectively as possible. Stick to the truth, evaluate things objectively, and as close to reality as possible. This is classic Stoic thinking. Things are objective. It is us who give them meaning by assigning value to them. As you can see above, Marcus Aurelius reminds himself to look at the true elements of everything. He wants to ensure he doesn't attach personal emotions to external things. A side note, there's no need to be embarrassed about discussing sex. In the end, Marcus himself had 13 children. This is more about curbing one's desire. We should see things as they are, strip them down, and look at their essence, removing the value judgments we assign to them. We should break down the situation to see its nature, analyze it, look at all aspects and observe how it changes when time, disease, and death impact it. Marcus examined everything from the inside out and considered it carefully. He said his emperor's cloak was just sheep's wool dyed with the blood of shellfish. Though it might be expensive, it's really nothing more than wool dyed with a foul-smelling substance from Murex shellfish. If you pay attention, you'll notice this is the same dye that Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, famously lost in a shipwreck before starting his philosophical school. These things are valuable, but if we look at them objectively, they become worthless. Marcus advises that we should live as best we can. The strength to do this is found in the soul of a person who remains indifferent to external things. This person becomes indifferent by looking at these things as a whole, analyzing the nature of what constitutes them, and remembering that none of these things have value or power over them. Essentially, seeing everything objectively and as it truly is will help us present the best version of ourselves. We will recognize that they hold no real meaning, and will remember that it is only our judgments that give them value and significance. In Stoic philosophy, we look at everything from all angles to understand situations better. Often, seeing things objectively allows us to view them clearly and prevents us from assigning undue meaning to objects or circumstances. So when faced with challenges in life, when you feel stuck, try to observe your situation objectively. Look at it inside and out, strip it bare, and explain it in simple terms. The closer to reality, the better. What does it look like? What are its parts? How long will it last? Practical application and examples. Let me share a personal story to illustrate how this objective approach to life can have a profound effect on how we handle challenges and trials. Imagine losing a job or facing a difficult breakup. Our initial reaction often involves emotional turmoil, questions like, why me? Or thoughts of self-pity. But what if we applied the Stoic method of stripping away the layers? I remember when I faced a huge career setback. My dream job, something I had worked tirelessly for, suddenly came to an end. Initially, I was devastated. My identity was so wrapped up in my work that I couldn't see past the loss. I kept ruminating on how unfair the situation was. But then, recalling Marcus Aurelius' words, I decided to strip away the emotional layers and break it down. What happened? I lost a job. What is a job? A role where I contribute my skills in exchange for payment. Jobs come and go. This one was not eternal. This simple exercise calmed my nerves and allowed me to see the situation for what it was, a temporary setback, not a life-defining moment. A similar lesson can be learned from the life of the ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus. Born into slavery, Epictetus could have viewed his situation with despair, allowing his circumstances to dictate his mindset. But instead, he chose to strip away the external labels of slave and master and look at life from a higher vantage point. He saw that while his body may have been enslaved, his mind was free to think, learn, and grow. He focused on what he could control, his thoughts, actions, and reactions, and eventually became one of the most respected Stoic teachers of all time. In modern life, we can apply this same approach to daily annoyances. Think about your commute to work. You're stuck in traffic, irritated, watching the minutes tick away. But when you strip the situation down, you're simply in a vehicle, moving slower than you'd like. Time passes, as it always does. Your frustration doesn't change the situation. Observing it objectively, you see the futility of your emotions and can release that tension. You shift from anger to acceptance. Applying objectivity in relationships. Another powerful area to apply this objectivity is in our relationships. Let's say you have an argument with a loved one. Heated words are exchanged, feelings are hurt, and afterward, you replay the argument over and over in your mind, fueling your resentment. But what if, instead of holding on to the emotional sting, you step back and objectively assess the situation? Ask yourself, what truly happened? Two people had a disagreement. Both had their perspectives. No permanent damage was done. What can be learned from this? What are the facts, devoid of emotion? When you focus on the bare truth, it becomes easier to let go of the grudge and seek resolution. By detaching yourself emotionally, you avoid escalating conflicts unnecessarily. The bigger picture, impermanence and perspective. Finally, the Stoics remind us of a profound truth. Everything is temporary. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the vastness of time and how small our individual moments are within it. He spoke about the impermanence of all things, our achievements, our struggles, even our lives. By embracing this perspective, we can view life's events with less attachment and more wisdom. Take, for example, the construction of ancient cities. Entire civilizations have risen and fallen, with their grand monuments now reduced to ruins. The things that seemed so important at one time, power, wealth, reputation, are now dust. We can apply this same long-term view to our own lives. When you zoom out and see the broader picture, the things that seem monumental today will likely feel insignificant in the grand scheme of time. This doesn't mean we shouldn't care about our lives or our problems. It means we shouldn't let them overwhelm us. By keeping our focus on what truly matters, and by seeing things as they are, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering.